Welcome to Mark TCG. This is Mark talking, and today I'm going to talk about destroying the meta for a loop, because we know that this is going to happen and happen today. Effective September 22, first rule is suspended from Premier. Yeah, so we have like this weekend to play with first rule decks, because next week we can't. So in Premier we can still play in Twin Suns, and I think maybe in Trilogy. I don't know if Premier counts for Trilogy. We need to see more here, but yeah. We mentioned that we're older tools that we expect to perform better than they ever have before. Force Row and Force Lightning have both skyrocketed in play rate, with one of those cards performing just a little better than the other. I think Force Row is way better than Force Lightning, but okay. In fact, one of them may be performing just a little better than nearly any card in Star Wars Limited. This is, I agree. So yeah, Force Row was playing just over half of the top 64 decks of the Galactic Championship and continuing to have a high play rate as we moved into our planetary qualifiers. On a bad week, Force Row takes up roughly 35-40% of the top 8 meta share. This is a lot. This is really a lot. And around 45% of the winners. On a good week, each of those numbers can go above 50%. Additionally, each week between 65 and 75% of heroism decks to make top 8 include Force Row in some capacity. Yeah, I'm not one of those persons that think the Force Row is supposed to be banned. I think it's more like players adapt their gameplay style, their decks to try to beat Force Row, you know. That's why we're seeing now decks with Force Lightning in hero decks or Pop Dark Side in hero decks. Maybe your opponent is going to use Force Row, you just discard one of those cards, maybe Force Choke. Then you can trigger Anakin twice, is a good way to deal with the Force Row. A bunch of decks playing with cost 1 events or cost 0 like Salvage to don't take damage with Force Row. All of the players needed to adapt to play against Force Row, and now we don't need this anymore, so we can do slightly changes in some lists. Of course, we want to look beyond just the numbers. Surprise Strike and Hot Shot have us pump some high numbers. Yep, well, we can see a Hot Shot in a bunch of decks, and take play pattern into consideration. As absolute worst, Force Row makes your opponent discard a card. A mediocre card, situationally fine as the best. Force Row is taking massive future threat from the opponent while simultaneously defeating an unit in play. Yeah, this is really the main thing about Force Row is not even just discard a card. Sometimes your opponent only have big units in hand, and you're going to discard, and he needs to discard a card with Force Row, and you're going to defeat something. This is the main thing here. I think Force Row is kind of, like I said, I don't think we need to suspend it, but I will not say that I don't like the suspension too. I think it's like, it's okay. I don't think we need it, but if they suspended, okay, makes sense to me. It's a good card, it's an amazing card that we're going to see. We're seeing in a bunch of decks, so yeah, makes sense. And like said before, we saw in last sets, we say only Queenlands are Town playing with Force Row. We don't see any other deck playing with Force Row, like maybe some rogue decks, but now we can see in a bunch of decks because we have a bunch of Force units. I think this is a conversation that we already have a bunch of times with this card. So, like I said, I'm not of the guys that thinks, okay, we need to suspend Force Row, but I'm not the guy that, oh, we can suspend Force Row. I think like more in the middle. If it got suspended, okay, makes sense. So what Force Row has had some dips over the last couple of months. Over the long term, it has been hitting consistently high enough success. Okay, he's just explaining more and more why they suspend the Force Row. I think this will change a lot the meta. We're going to see like Kylo Ren 5 Tarkin Town need to change the list, because I think Force Row is really good in that list. We can see some Han Solo's 2 Blue now needing to change the list, maybe bring back some space units, because Force Row is a way to deal with the space. Maybe your opponent plays something there, you can just Force Row yourself, maybe a Crate Dragon, then defeat something with Chewbacca. Now you can't, because you don't have the Force Lightning anymore. Maybe even with Force Lightning paying the penalty aspect, you can't defeat Chewbacca, because you need to pay 3 resources of the villainy aspect. So maybe if you're only 3 with 4 resources, you can only do 2 damage. It's not that good. So yeah, we need to figure it out. What we're going to do, like the changes we're going to do in the decks, like Han Solo 2 Blue, like Kylo 5 Tarkin Town, Mother Talzin 2. I think for Mortal 1000, this is not that bad, to be honest. I think first row is worse to Mortal 1000. Because, like, against Han Solo, it's bad, like, to keep a Ruthless Raid in hand, maybe, because you know that your opponent is going to use first row, and Mortal 1000 don't have the key immunity to draw cards, so you don't have, like, this a bunch of cards in your hand, so you can't just hold some cards in your hand because your opponent will use your first row. So now your opponent don't have first row, you don't have two, but maybe it's better for you. So maybe we can see 1000 red more playable now, maybe 1000 green. We can see Kira Data Vault back to the meta. We can see Han Solo 1 back to the meta. We can see a bunch of stuffs now. So this is it. What are you guys thinking that decks that will back to the meta? What are you guys thinking decks that will not change too much? Decks that will just die with all the first row? Say here in the comment and see you in the next video.